So you may be wondering, why am I seeing lots of social media chatter about Dutch farmers rising up against the Dutch government? Because, I mean, Dutch politics are very diverse, actually, correctly used as a term.
You don't mean 100% non-white.
No, there's a vast plurality of parties, something
Yes.
like 28 parties.
Diverse opinions.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's a genuine sort of, diversity of parties that have a realistic chance of making it into the parliament because they have a proportional representative voting system. And so you get coalitions of parties forming governments and not just one party winner takes all. And so you think, okay, well, that means that's got to be good for the regular person, right? It's like, yeah, except for when you get a coalition of them that are all basically WEF goblins. And they're like, yeah, so we're going to start shutting down parts of the country, like farming. Is that wise?
That's a big brain move.
Historically, how does it go when the government starts getting involved in food production?
I've seen Clarkson's Farm.
Yeah.
And I've read Mal's Great Famine.
Not brilliantly, right?
Neither good.
Yeah. So anyway, before we get into this, if you'd like support, you can go to lotus.com and sign up and check out this premium podcast that John and Bo did on British aesthetics, which is remarkably useful because I'm sure you've seen almost everywhere there's a distinct lack of British aesthetics, and why these are important. But I'm not going to spoil it. It's definitely worth your time. Anyway, and this also ties into the fact that everything about this comes from the EU, which is, of course, like a province of the WEF. But the great thing about this is that we don't have anything to do with it. Thank God.
Finally.
Yeah, exactly. So this is not our problem.
I am quite liking that since we've left, whenever bad news about the EU comes up, everyone here just gets a bit smugger.
Yeah, I know. Well, hey, they don't get to F around with our stuff, right? But this is what they're doing. So this is the EU's Natura 2000 plan, right? And so they say this, stretching over 18% of the EU's land area and more than 8% of its marine territory, Natura 2000 is the largest coordinated network of protected areas in the world. It offers a haven to Europe's most valuable and threatened species and habitats. So 1/5 of Europe is to become essentially a wildlife reserve. That's their plan. This is where this all comes from. So someone in an ivory tower somewhere decided, we'll get a bunch of experts to go and look at stuff. And then we'll just impose this plan on all of Europe. What could go wrong? Well, I mean, putting a load of farmers out of work. What do they do? I don't know. I've never met a farmer. I've never been near a farm. I work in an office with my nice soft hands. And so I say, we'll just carve all this up. No consequences that were unexpected would come from this. I mean, I'm an expert.
It's not like Europe's an old place in which pretty much every parcel of land has been cornered off for a reason, for something.
For centuries.
Yeah.
So Natura 2000 is not a strict system of wild nature reserves from which all human activities will be excluded, though, Callum. I mean, you will be able to walk in them. You just won't be able to use them for anything productive. That would be wrong. Of course, includes nature reserves, but most of the land remains privately owned. Isn't that interesting?
Wait, what?
The EU has been like, that privately owned land, yeah, that's a nature reserve now.
The hell it ain't. It's my house.
That's what the farmers
my
are saying.
fields.
And so this is something that the member states will be charged with, preserving that they make sure that the sites are managed in a sustainable manner, both ecologically and economically. So, right, okay. So we'll just go on to the next one. You can see, is there a map on this one? There is a map that you can get up, but I'm not sure if it's on this page. But basically, you've got two different types, bird sites and habitats, which is just basically the way that this is being drawn up. But listen to this. Based on proposals provided by the member states, scientific seminars are convened for each biogeographical region with the support of the European Environmental Agency. These expert biogeographical seminars aim to determine whether sufficient high-quality sites have been proposed by each member state. So basically, the experts are at it again. They've got information that other people have brought them. They've not been to the place themselves. They've drawn up a map of Europe that is to be cordoned off, and you can just see just areas on this map where it's like, right, okay, this is now not productive land. It's like, okay, if you say so, Commissar. And so this has been going on in the Netherlands for a while because the Netherlands is a really small and really intensively farmed place. They have the largest density of farm animals anywhere in Europe. They love their cows, their pigs, and chickens.
So does everyone else in Europe because of keeping.
I know. But anyway, this has been going on in the Netherlands for a while now. There was in 2019. This isn't it, but in 2019 there was a proposal to start compensating farmers for their land. And it's like, okay, but why can't they just farm their land? But anyway, so it turned out right in 2019 that a Dutch administrative court found that the government was breaking EU law by not doing enough to reduce excess nitrogen in vulnerable natural areas. And so the country has been in what they call a nitrogen crisis. Let me know if I get any of this wrong, by the way, our Dutch viewers. But basically, the problem is that you've got so many cows in such a small area, and nitrogen is produced in their urine, and this gets washed off into the ecosphere, and apparently that's causing a problem. They also decided they were going to limit daytime speeds to 100 kilometers an hour, which is 62 miles an hour on motorways, to limit nitrogen oxide emissions. Don't know what they're doing about the cow farts, but I'm sure this is all part of the plan, right? And so the civil servants want to... What?
You can't go over 100 kilometers. If you go after that, it gets worse.
Yeah, you get too much nitrogen, apparently. I don't know.
I don't believe it.
I don't know, and I don't care. You know, who wants to live life as according to civil servants, right? So the civil servants want to get rid of 30% of the country's livestock, at the very least. It's like, okay, that's a nice depopulation agenda, but like, someone has to pay for that. That's someone's property that you're like, yeah, we're just going to get rid of 30% of it. That's 30% of my income. You know, that's 30% of like the national income. This is mad. And so they've got basically two proposed scenarios include forcing some farmers to sell emissions rights and even their land to the state. So they're going to literally confiscate your land. It's got to be done. Nitrogen crisis. Also, don't drive over 100 kilometers an hour.
Trust us, bro. We don't need food. We can always just import it from
Yeah, I
overseas.
know.
There's never been any supply problems, ever.
Yep. It is the EU's biggest meat exporter. Did you know? And so anyway, yeah, this essentially, right, what this comes down to is the swamp Germans complaining about the quality of their swamps. Not even joking, right? If it gets into lakes and streams via runoff, excessive nitrogen can damage sensitive natural habitats by encouraging algae blooms to deplete oxygen in surface waters. So yeah, the swamps going down in quality, not swampy enough. But anyway, so and part of the plan was to begin. And this is the beginning. If you go to the next one, John, they've got a 13-year, multi-billion euro plan, which includes paying some Dutch livestock farmers to relocate or exit the industry and helping others transition to different methods of farming with fewer animals and bigger area of land. It will start as a voluntary program. Isn't that always how it begins?
I mean, they literally tell you it will start as this.
With compensation offered to livestock farmers after leave. In the end, it might be necessary to stop negotiating as a last resort, but the basis is voluntary, said one minister who was in charge of it.
Because you got the same thing going on in the UK. I remember a while back, was it the government set up a scheme where they just want to buy out farmers here, just to close them down forever? And it's just, what is with this sudden attack? Like actively trying to destroy your own food source.
It's hard to persuade people to eat the bugs if they've got a stomach full of beef.
What do you say?
So you can see here the iron fist in the velvet glove. They're like, oh, no, it's voluntary, it's voluntary, it's voluntary. For now. Because eventually it won't be voluntary. And so people at the time, in fact, recently, have been protesting this. About a week ago, 2 weeks ago, some farmers decided to bring cows to Parliament. And they were like, yeah, so...
This is what a cow looks like.
Well, I mean, they don't know, but they threatened to slaughter them in front of the Parliament. They don't stop trying to steal their land. I mean, they literally said they were going to confiscate their land.
Got a hostage.
But the WEF guys are like, yeah, but we want that dead. but anyway,
cricket. Now what?
But this overall is why the Dutch farmers are up in arms, because the government appears to be tyrannizing them and interfering with the food supply of the Netherlands for some reason. Well, not for some reason, for nitrogen cuts. But anyway, was it Mark Rutte, the Prime Minister of the Netherlands, said this: freedom of speech and the right to demonstrate are a vital part of our democratic society, and I will always defend them. But it is not acceptable to create dangerous situations. It is not acceptable to intimidate officials. We will never accept that. Right. So the iron fist and the velvet glove. It's acceptable for them to say, look, we're going to take your stuff. We're going to take it.
By force.
By force.
We're going to send it, if you resist us, we'll send in SWAT teams.
But if you start using force against that, well, that's not acceptable. We can't accept that. So there we go. You can see how this goes. You are the ward of the state here, not the other way around. But anyway, so the government's complaining about nitrogen oxide and ammonia, and the ruling coalition, right? They've got this plan to cut emissions by 50% by 2030. 2030 is that a WEF thing? Do you remember that?
Yep.
Agenda 2030. It's all a part of this, apparently. But this is interesting because they're just the good thing about the Netherlands. They're not very good liars. The honest message is that not all farmers can continue their business. So a bunch of you, tough. Just tough. We're going to take it. You've got no choice here. Democracy, you think you had a democracy? You voted for this. You voted for the EU. You voted for all of these things. So now you're going to get them. Those who do will have to likely farm differently, the government said in a statement this month. Just shutting down your livelihood because too much nitrogen, mate. Too much nitrogen. Algae blooms in the swamps. You're responsible for that with your steaks and cheese. Got to get rid of those algae blooms. So that's why you need to be ruined. Anyway, the farmers, though, are performing the Canadian trucker trick of not taking this lying down, which is good. As you can see here, this is them blockading the border between Germany and the Netherlands, and good for them. Cause some havoc. You're going to get targeted in the same way that the Canadian truckers did, because
but there's more of you than there are of them. Also, you have the food. And
you
they
do
live in a city.
But as the WEF province of Canada showed, and it literally was Klaus Schwab saying, we've penetrated cabinets around the world, well, Canada being one, well, sat next to Justin Trudeau. There is going to be repercussions for this. They're going to start targeting you with the state apparatus. But anyway, you can see that if you go to the next one, just massive numbers of Dutch people out protesting this.
Well, this is a gathering of thousands of Dutch farmers.
Yes, this is huge. And so the Dutch farmers are threatening to block the country's airports, ports, and distribution centres. You're going to have to do it, and you're going to have to really commit if you want this to work. But just like with the Canadian truckers, people are out in support. People know that these are their guys. This is their people. This is just one of the many videos you can find of people on the overpasses waving at the truckers, the farmers as they're going past. And the Dutch seem to be becoming ungovernable, which is good. Pouring manure, French style, on government offices, flooding the streets. This person is saying, well, this is an upright response to the WEF-controlled government, which seems to be the case, but we'll talk about that in a minute. If we go to the next one, you see massive protests. Good.
Yeah. I mean, I said it's the one last thing that the people really have to actually control the governments is what the Canadians showed, which is, but we actually control the food supply and the infrastructure.
Yes. We can just barricade all of this if we want. Yeah.
And then what are you going to do? I'll just order on Uber Eats. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And apparently they're planning a really big protest shortly. This is essentially going to be huge. Like much of the Netherlands will be brought to a standstill, according to this. So who knows how that's going to go? Hopefully well.
Although I do like the manure trick. I know they've done it before as well, but it's like with the Canadians when they all needed to piss, and we were being told they were just pissing everywhere. It's just like, your city is now covered in piss. We're off back to the rurals. See ya.
We go to the next one. Again, you can see like just random towns being brought to a standstill by the farmers. Good for them. No, not having any of this. The government's just going to start taking away your livelihood to meet arbitrary targets for the quality of life in the swamps. You don't have to live with that. And it seems the Dutch government is going to mobilise the army against you. You can see military vehicles being rolled out. Good news. But anyway, so people are like, oh, well, this is WEF-controlled government. It's like, yeah, it seems to be the case. Because it seems that Prime Minister Mark Rutte has been caught lying about the Great Reset, and he seems to promote WEF initiatives. This seems to all be part of Klaus Schwab's plan to bring in a Great Reset, so you'll eat the bugs, live in the pod, own nothing, and be happy. Because I mean, if you were conducting this agenda, what's out of line here? We're going to take away your farms. You're going to eat bugs. You're not going to eat meat. You're going to be reduced to a condition of perpetual servitude. But anyway, let's watch this clip to finish off.
Maar dat roept natuurlijk wel de vraag op waarom dan al die afschuwelijke maatregelen worden getroffen die onze hele manier van leven, onze hele samenleving kapot maken. Nu zijn er een aantal invloedrijke globalisten die naar eigen zeggen de coronacrisis zien als een enorme kans om onze wereld te resetten en dus een pervers belang hebben om deze crisis nog even voor te laten duren. En een van deze globalisten is de heer Klaus Schwab, oprichter en voorzitter van het World Economic Forum. En hij heeft ook een boek geschreven met als pakkende titel COVID-19, The Great Reset. En mijn vraag aan de demissionair minister-president is: hoe beoordeelt hij de inhoud van dit boek?
De minister-president.
Ik ken het boek niet, voorzitter. Maar ik zou de heer Vermeijeren willen adviseren om niet al te veel in al die conspiracy-theorieën. Ik kijk ze ook allemaal op YouTube. Ik vind het altijd fascinerend hoe dan uitgelegd wordt dat 9/11 niet heeft plaatsgevonden of dat het allemaal anders zit. Ontzettend knap in elkaar gezet. Maar het is meestal wat het is, een conspiracy-theorie.
De heer Van Meijeren.
Nou, het verbaast mij dat de eerste vraag die ik aan de heer Rutte stel sinds ik beëdigd ben als Kamerlid direct wordt beantwoord. Dank u wel, maar het verbaast mij dat die eerste vraag direct wordt beantwoord met een leugen. Ik heb namelijk een brief in mijn hand die dateert van 26 november 2020. En dat is een brief van de heer Rutte aan de heer Klaus Schwab, waarin hij de heer Schwab bedankt voor het toezenden van zijn boek. En dit noemt een hoopvolle analyse voor een betere toekomst. Zou de heer Rutte nog even kunnen graven in zijn geheugen? Het is nog geen half jaar geleden, dus ik weet niet hoe lang uw herinneringen actief blijven. Maar waarschijnlijk is dit nog wel ergens op te graven. En mijn eerste vraag opnieuw te beantwoorden en nu eerlijk, alstublieft.
Nou, het eerlijke antwoord is dat dat een nette brief is. Waarin je helaas niet alle boeken die je toegestuurd krijgt van kaft tot kaft kunt lezen. Maar wel degene die je toestuurt een vriendelijke brief wil terugsturen.
Nou, dan zegt de heer Rutte dus eigenlijk dat hij niet heeft gelogen tegen mij, maar tegen de heer Klaus Schwab.
So I love that so much. Again, like you're definitely a liar here. The question is who you're lying to, right? But the answer is he's obviously lying to the public. He's obviously lying to his conservative opposition there. He's obviously not lying to Klaus Schwab because it's not like he hasn't promoted WEF initiatives in the past. He's so obviously on board with this agenda. If we can play the next clip.
So the role of businesses in the agri-food sector should be stimulated and enabled to create scalable solutions. And here I'd like to highlight a World Economic Forum initiative in this regard, the World Economic Forum Food Innovation Hubs. And these hubs in Africa, in Asia, in South America and in Europe will allow businesses to connect regional stakeholders to skill innovations, because this is key. Skill innovations that can address food systems challenges. And here I'm particularly proud to announce that the Netherlands will host the global coordinating secretariat of the World Economic Forum Food Innovation Hubs, which will connect all other food innovation hubs. And I believe this is important because it will be facilitating to create the partnerships we need.
So there you go.
And that's a promotional material from Davos as well.
That's from Davos. Transforming Food Initiative, or whatever it was. It's like, right. So this appears to be part of the World Economic Forum's Great Reset agenda, and to directly interfere with the food supplies who have centralized control hubs by bureaucrats for the world food supply. And this is why the Dutch farmers, I would say, have to be put out of business.
Thank you for watching that segment from the podcast Lotus Eaters. If you enjoyed that, you can sign up to become a member on our website and access our premium content. For instance, this recent Epochs from Carl and Bo, where they talk about Alfred the Great. If you're interested in following us on social media, you can find us on Getter at lotuseaters_com. Thank you and goodbye.